Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I figured we would do a run through, a little review of Axial's SCX24 Power Wagon. This is the newest addition to the SCX24 lineup. This is actually the truck that got me into the mini crawler scene. Um, this was the first truck I ordered. However, it wasn't the first truck that came in because Axial had um, some issues with their communication, with their timelines, warehouse issues, I think. Um, and so these, I don't know if they were delayed or if it was just bad communication from Axial, um, but these just randomly started showing up on people's doorsteps. Um, but in the meantime, after I ordered this, while I was waiting, that's when I ended up getting some deadbolts. And man, what a good choice that was. So let's jump into this thing and see what it's about. You have probably seen several of these videos already because the truck has been out for a little over a month now. And so everybody and their brother has done a review. Well, my brother hasn't, so I'm going to do mine now. Sure. Here we go. I have already made some upgrades to this truck, so I will discuss those as I'm reviewing the truck. But first thing, obviously, is the hard body 1940s Dodge Power Wagon design. That is not a new design to crawlers by any stretch of the imagination. But we do have the four-door cab with this one, which just kind of gives a little bit of a variance on the Power Wagon look overall. So I think that was a pretty nice touch. And if you look closely, there's a dude in there. That dude that's sitting closest to you has a backwards hat on. Not real sure how I feel about that, but that's the passenger, so the driver knows what's up. He's got a regular hat forward, facing forward. So I'm good with him. And I do know how I feel about the passenger with the backwards hat. Don't do that. That's hats weren't designed that way. Whatever. I'm an old man. I won't get on that rant. Yeah, I won't get on that rant. Um, so some of the big upgrades that have been touted for this thing was upgraded wheels, oil-filled shocks. That's a huge upgrade for these things coming stock, because every other SCX24 just has the good old kind of friction dampered spring loaded shocks that just give bounce. They're super springy, and they work for the size of the truck, but they give a lot of bounce and a lot of issues whenever you're on the trail and trying to climb obstacles. A little unpredictable with how the truck might respond to terrain. The oil-filled shocks just give a much smoother ride. And as you're coming up over obstacles, they just kind of flex a little more realistically, and not as abruptly. So the oil-filled shocks, huge upgrade coming stock right out of the box for these things. Well done to Axial for that. Um, one of my biggest complaints before I even pop the body open or anything else is, now these are not stock tires, these are slightly bigger, so I actually made one of my biggest complaints worse by doing this. But the stock wheels were bad about this as well. There is so much body rub whenever these things are at compression. I mean, you can see that. I mean, that tire is just all up in that wheel well. Um, and like I said, these tires are not stock; they're bigger, so it's even worse. However, that exists with the stock tire too, and I feel like that is just a design flaw. You don't want a new vehicle um, designed to where the wheels rub on the body straight out of the box. So I think Axial could have done a little bit something, a little bit more work with the clearance. Um, I don't know, but that is one of my biggest complaints about this vehicle. Um, And the other thing, while I love this huge chunky front bumper, man, it just looks so good, and it's appropriate for the style of the vehicle. Um, Once you do upgrade, there's just so much body rub. I mean, it's all over the front bumper. It's all over that front fender. So your options are to remove the front bumper, um, go with something a little bit smaller, such as, like the deadbolt bumper, if you wanted to still have something, or just remove it and not have one. Period. Those are your options. Um, or I guess you could just hack it up, but I'm not crazy about that. I bought the truck because I like the way it looked. I don't want to cut it up because it's not going to look the same. Also, I do a bad job on stuff, so I don't want to butcher this thing because it's a gorgeous looking truck. And let's talk about this paint for a second. They have the orange and they have the green. I went with the orange, obviously. um, I didn't get the green because it has that weird park ranger sticker on there, and I'm not a park ranger. I'm not. No, I'm not. So I don't want my truck to say that I'm a park ranger. Weird, huh? Anyway, I went with the orange. I am glad I did. This orange, the camera is not doing it justice. This orange just really pops. There's like a little bit of kind of like a, I don't know, metal flake, candy finish in there. It just has a really good shimmer, especially outside in the daylight. Gorgeous color. Axial. Well done. All right. So there is the tour of the outside and some of the upgrades. Um, I did not talk much about the tires, so let me do that real quick before we pop that body open. So I have here the stock tire that came with the truck. Um, Super Swamper branded, good compound, good sticky tire, really high quality, and it's a beadlock wheel as well. Not a super quality beadlock wheel, but I mean it's factory, it's stock right out of the box, right? So I mean you can't expect, you know, higher quality ones such as that. That's what the whole aftermarket market is for. That's what they exist for. These tires are really good stock tires. The wheels are sufficient. Um, However, another big complaint about these, the foams in these things are so stiff. So if you want to stick with the stock tire, it's not even a bad idea. They're great tires. You got to get those foams out of there. You got to vent these things. Whatever tactic you want to use to soften them up a little bit, you have to do something because these are way too stiff, just straight out of the box. For a truck that's designed to crawl, Axial, I expect you to know a little bit better. I expect more. So, great upgrade. Execution is a little lacking. Um, but with these tires, I mean, that's good tread. Look at that. So, by comparison, here is a stock deadbolt wheel. This is just the stock one that is glued on the wheel. It's not beadlock at all. There is the tread. It's pretty low. The compound is fine, but the compression is much better. The deadbolt wheels also, they come stock vented. You know that? So a lot better compression on these things than on the Power Wagon wheels, even though these wheels and tires are much higher quality, just not performance-wise right out of the box. They can get there. You just got to do a little bit of work. They're also just a slight tad bit bigger than the stock deadbolt tires, as you can see. Definitely wider and just a tiny bit taller, which for crawling purposes is great. But again, with the body rub on the vehicle, not great. Let's get into it. It's fastened, good old hook and loop, Velcro fasten at the front, hinged at the back. Pretty typical, pretty standard. You will notice that there is an interior in here. I showed you the dudes. There's actual kind of full interior in there. Gives a nice scale detail. However, performance-wise, it makes it more top-heavy, and these things are top-heavy with the hard body and that interior in there. It just has a tendency to roll, so you definitely got to get some weight on this thing down low to kind of counteract that a little bit. Or you can just remove the interior and just take that weight out. You're going to lose some scale detail, but you're going to gain performance. So it's an option for you. If we look in through the truck, it's the same setup as SCX24. However, this is branded a little bit differently. You've got the Spectrum branded 2-in-1 ESC receiver combo. Works fine for stock. I'm not going to complain about that. You've got the Spectrum branded battery. The only difference is a sticker on it. It's the same battery that comes with the deadbolt, the C10, you know, all that other stuff. It's fine. It's got the Dynamite motor down here from Horizon Hobbies, the stock motor that's in all of these rigs. Underpowered. It works fine out of the box, but it's not going to win you any competitions. And when you start adding aftermarket parts and weight, it's going to burn up pretty quick. And then just the same standard servo up front here as well. They work. That's why Axial goes with them. But they don't work great and they don't last very long. But I'm sure that's what helps keep the price point of these trucks at such a reasonable starting point. So I'm not going to complain with that. That's one of the most attractive things for me personally about getting into micro crawlers is the accessibility, the affordability. And you know what, man? If the manufacturers have to kind of cut some corners with some of those things to keep it more affordable, I'm fine with that. I can get the vehicle at a reasonable price, and then I can put in upgrades as I go along. That's fun to do anyway, right? That's part of the RC hobby. So no complaints here. You know, we're well aware of the downfalls of the stock Axial electronics. Nothing new, but otherwise, you know, just a good truck. It does have headlights in the front. They're not bumper mounted, which with this beefy bumper, they could be, but they actually put them in the headlight cans up front here. And so that is just a nice look. I don't know why the wire has to run all the way down the frame and all the way back up through the body. There are no rear lights installed, so that's just excessive. Axial, really? So that is the inside of this vehicle and how that looks. Now, some of the upgrades that I have already made on my truck, just to show you what I'm working with here, pretty standard. So I went with the Ramp Crab brass differential cover because you got to get some brass diff covers. That's one of the first upgrades just to get some weight down low. I went with the Injora steering links. I do have an Emax steering servo that I will replace. I'm just waiting for this to burn up. I mean, I have it. I'm just going to use it until it dies. And then I will put the Emax in there. Again, Emax isn't the highest performing upgrade by any means, but it is an upgrade. It does have a little bit more power, a little bit more reliability. So whenever this one burns up, I'll go to the Emax. It'll be good. And then, of course, with the Emax, I do have the kind of the silver gray horn color to match the steering links because I am a sucker for color matching. As you will see right now, boom, on the bottom. I got the Injora skid plate, of course, the silver gray color, as well as Injora high clearance suspension links as well. So that's what I'm working with there. And then I have the Injora wheels and tires with some brass wheel extenders back behind there as well, just to get a little bit more weight. So this thing has hefted up a little bit. I'm not sure that's a real word, but I'm going to go with it. And as we've seen with the trail videos that I have posted recently, it performs pretty well. So I'm not going to complain with that. Now, out of the box, Before I got it on the trails, I was using it on some simple homemade obstacles, such as this, in my living room. And it did not perform well at all. So I have not tried this on the bridge since I made the upgrades. Let's see what happens. We're going to give it a shot. Let me turn this on. Now, by the way, you're supposed to turn the transmitter on first. That way, if you turn this on, it doesn't get interference, go haywire, and take off on you. These things aren't that fast. I'm not worried about it. If it takes off on me, I could probably catch it. So, whatever. Look at the headlights on that thing. Yeah, it's a good look, right? Good job, Axial. Great looking design with that thing. Also, the transmitter. It's the same basic pistol grip design, of course. You know, nothing special there. But it is Spectrum branded. Just, you know, V2, V3. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but yeah. So there we go. Now, let's see how I can perform with this thing getting up this bridge. I'm going to tell you right now, the only way I could do it before was carrying full speed into the incline and hoping and praying that it stayed online to stay on track with my separated bridge up here. So with the upgrades, with the weight, with the new tires, even though they're coated in dirt, probably not quite as sticky as they normally would be, let's see what kind of change in performance we get out of this thing now. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything different. That's exactly what happened before on this thing. So, let me see. Ugh. When in doubt, throttle out, right? Let's see if we can carry a little bit more speed into it. Maybe that will do something for me. Oh, it almost did. Now I'm just going to fall off the backside. All right. So I'm not going to count the first two as real attempts because that was really just kind of a test for me just to see what would happen. So that was the first true attempt. In my rule, as I've said it before, 3 fails and we bail. So that's the first fail. Let's see if we can get up here. I got to keep it online. That's the hard part. You got to carry speed into this. The wood, I don't have any texture on here, so it's pretty slick. So I got to carry speed into it and make sure that I stay in a straight line to mount the broken bridge trails up there. So that's the tricky part. See what happens. Ah, that was my fault. That one, all I had to do was steer just a little bit, and I didn't do that. All right, whatever. It happened. It's my fault, but that's still attempt number 2. Here we go, number 3. Last one. Pressure's on. It's not the Power Wagon's fault. The pressure's on me. I am bad at driving. Here we go. Oh, that one was online, and I did steer a little bit, and I messed it up. All right, I'm going to break my rule. I do that frequently, but I think if I pull my head out of my butt, maybe I can make this work. Oh, it was on there and then bounced off. Got a little bit of bounce, and I couldn't control that. All right, whatever. So, still, listen, as you've seen in the videos, it is a good trail truck. It's fun in the wild. It does great over roots, rocks, bumps, you know, whatever. It just doesn't handle smooth inclines. But not a lot of these trail trucks do. So overall, Axial, great job with this truck. Some minor complaints with it that I think could have been executed a little bit differently to make it better out of the box. Those things are easily fixable. It's up to, you know, the buyer to do those things, which, I mean, come on, RC micro crawlers are all about customization anyway. So pick one up, change it however you want, and then let me see it. You know, let me hear what you think. I've got a few more upgrades to do with this thing. I've got the purple Endura motor. Whenever this burns out, I will install that. But again, same thing with the servo. I'm going to use a stock motor while I have it because it's there. It works. Why not? Overall, I could not be happier with my purchase of the Power Wagon. It's a great truck, great trail truck, like I said. Highly recommend it. And that the 4-door body, that's a good design. Well done, Axial. It's just a slight variance on all of the other Power Wagon bodies that are already out there. I really want to see something different than a Power Wagon in the future. So Axial, if you're listening, which you're probably not because I've got like 3 subscribers, but if you see this Axial, let's come up with something different. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming back. Let me know what you've been working on, what your thoughts are of the Power Wagon, whether you have your own, whether you have mine, what do you think of my build. Hit that like button, the subscribe button, of course, the alerts, all that good stuff you're supposed to do because that's what you're supposed to do. Don't let me down. Putting pressure on you now. Thanks for coming back. I'll see you guys soon.